And it's lights out.
Welcome back to another episode of Drive Thru Penalty. I'm Sean, I'm here with my father Craig. This week we're going to talk about last week's race in Monaco, this week's upcoming race in Spain, F1 fantasy strategy, and as always, some good old F1 history with Craig.
So Sean, you said we're going to talk about the race at Monaco. What race?
I don't even know what there is to talk about. What'd you think of that one?
Well, I think we kind of laid the groundwork out for it a week ago when we said that it's a little reverse, and I think that the qualifying day on Saturday was very exciting. I mean, that's as good as it gets. I admire the fact that they tried to do something to change it a little bit on race day, but it didn't work. We have to come up with a better idea than that, and I don't know what it's going to be because you can't go back to smaller cars because you got to change everything. Can't go back to fueling, and I mean, I don't know what they're going to do.
No, you're right. It definitely didn't work. The fans didn't like it. The drivers didn't like it. I don't know. We got to try something new next year, or
so maybe the fans will be able to help us. If you guys have got any kind of idea at all, please feel free to leave it in our comments on this, because it's like we're coming up blank.
because we'll send a fax directly to Ben Sulayem and let him know.
So Sean, if you were going to make a change, because I can't think of anything that wouldn't disrupt everything, what would you do?
Well, I think we need to disrupt everything because nothing works right now. And I don't know, I was thinking about it a little bit last night, and what if qualifying was as is, the top 10 drivers get to move forward to Sunday, the bottom 10 get completely cut out, and then on the Sunday, the top 10 drivers get to go out and do 10 laps alone at a time, and they record their 10-lap race time. And that's what it is. I know it's different, but there's nobody on the track.
So my issue with that, then all you've done is now there's a Q4.
Pretty much, and George Russell even said it in an interview. He's like, let's just do 2 qualifyings because this doesn't work.
I listen, it is what it is. I think we just have to accept the fact that Saturday is race day.
Do we keep it or do we drop it?
Keep it.
Keep it?
It's the kingpin.
Okay.
Okay, Sean, I think we dwelled on the principality long enough, and as painful it was, so I look forward to it next year. Let's go to Spain.
This week we head to Barcelona, and we're not going for tapas or wine. We're going for one of F1's most technical races, the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia.
I'm kind of looking forward to the tapas and wine.
Yeah, me too. We're definitely going to have a little pit stop along the way, but
Ole!
the track's 4.6 kilometers long, 66 laps, 2 DRS zones. I hope to see some action.
Is it going to be passing this week?
It's going to be passing, definitely more than Monaco, but it's not necessarily known for its passing. It is extremely technical. And if you've watched any races in the past, you know how the drivers feel about the tire wear. It is really hard on the tires. There are some incredibly difficult, long, high-speed corners and quick, short ones. It really puts a lot of strain, but it's going to be an entertaining one.
So nobody's going to stay out there on hard tires for the entire race. We're going to see some pit stops.
We are, but we're also going to see a ton of different strategies this week. And really what it comes down to is the car setup. So are we focusing more on downforce this week so we can handle those corners better? Or are we going to kind of correct that and focus on top speed on the straights?
Can't they do both?
It's all about finding that balance, exactly. And it's kind of like once you've mastered this setup, you've kind of figured it out.
So Sean was kind of explaining how the race is going to pan out, and he will show you later when he does one of his laps on the sim racing, and I'm enjoying that, by the way.
Thanks.
One of the interesting things this weekend is the fact that it's a home race for 2 Spanish superstars, really. Sainz has been kind of exciting in the Williams, and Alonso's just had a really tough go.
But every week I say, it's got to turn around for Alonso this week, but it never does. And it's painful to watch. If you play fantasy, he's negative 45 points on the season. Like, it couldn't get any worse. But it's gotten so bad, he's actually hit the floor price of 4.5 million, so it can't actually get any worse. And we'll talk about it later, but he might actually be a great pickup for this week.
So, I'm a bit of a fan of the hometown racer. I mean, I just think that there's really some extra oomph for them in this race. And I'd love Alonso to do well. I mean, I actually am a fan of Alonso. Just think he's been doing it a long time. I'm a big fan of Sainz too, and I'm a fan of Williams. So I'm going to ask you a question, Sean. Who do you think's going to win? We'll bet a case of beer for the Canadian Grand Prix.
I like it.
And I'm going to let you pick. I'll take the other guy. Alonso in the Aston Martin or Sainz in the Williams?
Sainz in the Williams. I got to go Sainz in the Williams.
Okay, that's on.
That's on. So jumping back to fantasy, it could be a good opportunity to pick either of those guys up on your team because there's a chance either one of them might make driver of the day.
Okay, so give me your 1, 2, 3 this week.
So this week for me, I think it's going to be another Max Verstappen victory. First place. Second place, I'm going to say Lando beats Oscar this week. And unfortunately puts Oscar at a third, and I think we're going to see Charles there this week. Give me yours.
I'm going orange, blue.
Are we talking Red Bull or are we talking Williams?
We're going to talk Red Bull. So I'm going to go Oscar, Lando, and Max Verstappen. Okay, Sean, we've waited long enough, anticipation and all that. Why don't you get in your roadster and give us a lap?
All right, let's do it. This week it's not going to be in a Ferrari. It's going to be in a McLaren. Let's go.
All right, we're here in Barcelona. We're carrying speeds of up to 330 kilometers an hour on this first 1 kilometer long straight open DRS. Full track here, waiting for that 75 meter mark. Downshifting to 5th gear for this quick right to left hander. Long right here, and a lot of stress on that front left tire. Trying not to go too wide, staying within track limits. 50 meter board, downshifting to 4th gear, cutting the grass just a little bit. Heading downhill for a tricky left corner, all the way down to 2nd gear. Coming up to my favorite corner 7. It's a quick double downshift, left to right. Just hugging the corners. Now this is a very important next corner as it dictates how much speed you get to carry through this next straight. Open up that DRS for the 2nd time. Pretty good place to pass here. But this corner certainly isn't. It's tricky. Down to 3rd gear, braking a little too late. Quickly onto the gas. Into the high curbs. Ooh, and we just almost lost it there. Just off the gas for just a second and back to open throttle. That is a lap at Barcelona.
Thanks for the lap, Sean. I see you kept it on the track pretty well, and it's such a great way to learn about the track.
Well, I almost lost in the last corner there, but we held it together. It wasn't too bad.
That's what makes it exciting.
And I think this is the perfect chance to jump into everybody's favorite segment, History with CD.
Well, we're going to focus because we're in Spain, and I think we're going to stay in Spain, and we're going to talk about Spain. Going back to kind of the beginning of motor racing in Spain was they had a circuit in 1913 that they had a race on, and you won't believe who won the race, Rolls-Royce. Then off and on after that, there was Constructors' Championship, but they had a real issue trying to keep racing in Spain. I mean, they had Spanish Inquisition, and there was world wars and a lack of funding in many different ways. And it wasn't really until we got into the 50s where they kind of picked up the pace a bit. And in 1951, you remember in 1950, last week in Monaco, Juan Fangio won his first race. Well, at the race in Spain in 1951, he clinched his first world championship, and there were many after that. 1967, Formula One showed up, and what's been drawn to my attention is that there was a lot of big names that won this race. You know what I mean? It was never that guy that was 6th on the grid kind of thing. It was Clark. It was Stewart. It was Fittipaldi. It was Lauda. It was Mass. It was Hunt. It was Andretti. Both Villeneuves. Both Hills. There was also a couple of firsts that happened in Spain in 1996. Michael Schumacher. By the way, this 1996 was the last time it rained on the Spanish Grand Prix. And Michael Schumacher, he got into the lead and he won his very first Grand Prix, and he won it by 45 seconds driving in the rain and kind of established himself as the guy. He'd been participating up to that point, but he really kind of never looked back after that. So another famous race in Spain was in 2016 when Mercedes teammates Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg were on the front grid. And in the first corner, of course, they were rivals. And in the first corner, they wiped out and everything. And the guy that came through the rest of the pack and won a very tight race, and it was his first victory ever, was Max Verstappen. So there really haven't been any Spanish teams or that many Spanish drivers. There was one team, but I won't even get into it. They were a team for 3 seasons, and they only raced 1 season. They didn't qualify the last one, and they sold every year. So drivers, there's been a handful of drivers, but there's 2 really, really good drivers, and they're both there this weekend. And because it was so long ago that Alonso became world champion, the attendance in Spain is very, very good. And they expect this weekend that they're going to hit 300,000 people. So moving on to next year, because I feel we have to tell you what's going on there, because I'm really excited by it. In 2026, they're moving the Spanish Grand Prix, and it's moving to Madrid. And it's going to be a hybrid. It's going to be existing street racing. They're going to put some of their own track in. It's going to be, I think there's 22 corners.
There's tunnels.
There's even 2 tunnels, right? And when I read that, I go, oh, please don't be Monaco again. But I can assure you from everything that I've looked into, it's going to be a beauty. And it's really almost where Formula One racing is going to.
So does this mean we're going to lose Barcelona altogether?
We might have Barcelona for 1 more year, and the only reason is that there was a contract signed, and I'm sure Barcelona had to pay for that contract. And we've discussed before what formula gets paid to have the races there. So I think they might be under contract; they have to keep it, but they've had 2 races in Spain before. So I'm excited about the new race, but Formula One's excited about the new race because it's how Formula One just keeps achieving more things, and whether it's safety or petrol, that the amount they use and all these different things. And, they're slowly getting some more electronics in there. The neat thing that's happening in Madrid is that it's going to be very keen on sustainability. So anything that they build to like stands and everything is going to come down. It's all recyclable. The accessibility is incredible. It's right beside the airport. Who's going to love that? The teams coming in and out. And it's only 16 kilometers from downtown Madrid. So it'll be a whole event in Madrid, and the culture in Madrid and the history in Madrid. It's really going to showcase, I think, Formula One.
What a crazy weekend that'll be. And maybe we should go to that one next year. What do you think?
Well, I do think it's going to become the 2026 highlight next year.
Well, I'm definitely excited for it. And as always, thanks for a little history lesson. We appreciate it. One of my favorite segments of the video, of course. And before we end this video today, I think we should maybe quickly talk about our fantasy teams, because there's some changes that we're going to make this week. And like always, we're still looking at budget. Points are important. We're 7-8 races deep right now. So why don't we get right into it?
All right, welcome back to the Fantasy Formula One segment of this video. We're going to be talking about our team this week and what changes we plan on making. So after our video last week that we posted, we did make a last-minute decision, and we did swap out Mercedes for Ferrari. That ended up being a good move. I'm sure some of you ended up doing the same thing after seeing FP1, 2, and 3. I don't know what's going on with the Mercedes guys, but they aren't looking so good right now. So if I had to make one suggestion, it would be dropping Mercedes and putting in a team like Ferrari if you can afford them. And if you can't, I would still suggest downgrading Mercedes to somebody like RB or even Williams, because they could potentially put up as many points as Mercedes, but also they're more inclined to gain us budget and value this week. Looking at our drivers, we're going to make a couple changes this week. As we know, Fernando Alonso has now hit the floor price of $4.5 million due to his unfortunate luck over the last entire season. I don't think it can get any worse, and it's only going to go up from here. I don't see Fernando Alonso at the end of the season still being $4.5 million, so I do see some value in picking him up right now. Nothing's going to happen. We're not going to gain any money out of him over the next couple of weeks, but maybe, looking down the road 2-3 weeks from now, things could change and he could end up making us money. So I don't see Bortoleto doing that. I'm most likely going to drop Bortoleto this week. I'm going to put in Fernando Alonso. And I am also thinking about dropping Hulkenberg, because if we head on over to F1 Fantasy Tools budget builder section, we can see that these are the B tier drivers expected to make some money this week. Hadjar we have, Colapinto we have, Hulkenberg we've dropped Bortoleto, we're long playing Alonso, but Lawson only needs 8 points here to score the max increase of 0.6, and even if he doesn't, he only finishes with 3 points, we're still making money. That being said, I am going to drop Nico Hulkenberg this week, and we are going to put in Liam Lawson. It's not for sure a lock. I do like this right now, and things could change again. I always recommend waiting to see FP1, 2, and 3 before making any of those decisions, but right now this is pretty much what we're leaning to. We could switch Piastri for Leclerc. I'm happy with Piastri. Even though I predicted that Lando Norris would do better than him this week, I still think we're in here for some points and budget.
Well, Sean, thanks for the fantasy lesson, and hope you guys and ladies were paying attention.
Well, that wraps up this video. We had a lot of fun as always. We always appreciate you guys being here to join us. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, Sean, we're in Spain.